discussion on how law enforcement and our communities can work together better in order to be proactive, stay informed, and strengthen our relationships. It is more important than ever, right now, more important than ever, that we have this discussion in light of what we are hearing in the news and what we are seeing through social media. And it is, gentlemen, if you would, go ahead and take your seats at the table. What we're going to do, before I go any further, I want to introduce each of the gentlemen. Immediately to my right is Chief Deputy Terry Fearnley. He's with the Prince William County Sheriff's Office. Unfortunately, Sheriff Hill was unable to come last moment, so we've got the very next best person to take over that responsibility. And then to his right, we have Chief of Police Barnard with the Prince William County Police Department. Good morning. And then to his right is Chief of Police Douglas King. He is with the City of Manassas Park Police Department.
City of Manassas.
I'm sorry, the City of Manassas. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
And then there on the end is Captain Mario Lugo representing the City of Manassas Park. About 20 minutes, I believe, for kind of the Q&A portion of this. This is your opportunity. I mean, I'll echo, this is a great team we have up front here at this table. A great opportunity for you all to ask those questions that you wanted to. Hopefully, you know, we've got some good questions out there. I'll vouch what Chief King says. I was on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for a number of years, many years ago. And I still, you know, have dear friends on the police department, and they're going through a tough time. And just reinforcing what he's saying, it's really investing in the community and getting that reinvestment back that helps them deal with any incident that may occur out of those community relations. With that, any questions? Go ahead. Yeah.
Might be a good opportunity, sometimes confusing as jurisdictions and responsibilities because of the areas being so interwoven. Can someone speak to that and how you define between those areas?
Well,
I can start.
I'll start since I'm the oldest. Our agency was formed in 1731. We were the first county entity in Prince William County, being the Sheriff's Office. That was the first form of government, was to create the Sheriff's Office. The reason for that was the collection of taxes. That was our primary goal back then. Since 1731, our county has changed drastically. And over time, it has become necessary to add partners. And that's exactly what the county and the cities have done. As the county grew, we now have 8 police departments, 1 sheriff, and you have the state police in there as well. We have over 500,000 residents once you count the cities and the county and you put it all together. Chief Barnard is in charge of our Prince William County Police Department, which is our largest police department. And then you have 2 independent cities, which both representation there, your independent cities. Those are the chiefs of police for the independent cities that operate in that. As far as the Sheriff's Office goes, we handle criminal, civil, and penal authority, which means we do a lot of business interaction with you folks. If you're a registered agent of one of your companies, you probably see a sheriff's deputy quite often because we take care of the garnishments that your employees may have. We take care of legal paperwork and legal documentation and the interaction you may have with the court system itself. As a sheriff's office, we're also in charge of securing the courthouse and keeping that safe. And then the primary law enforcement flows over to these folks, and we work together as a team and go back and forth jurisdictional wise. We have memorandums of understanding, which are MOUs, which allow us to operate with each other and entwine with each other as needed and as resources are needed. So when they call for resources, call for help, we work together and do our best to keep you safe.
I just have a question. I'm not sure what it's called, and I don't know if you even still do the program, but it's the Citizen Ride Along?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that a program that you still do?
Yes, we all do citizen ride-alongs. For the most part, you probably have to be 18 years old, and you just call the station or come by, and we work it out and assign you a date that works for you and works for the individual department. It's a great experience. If you have done that, thank you. And if you're interested in doing it, we all offer those services, and it's a great program to learn more about your folks that are helping you in the community. Thank you.
What I want to ask is, when is the body where camera is supposed to be turned on? And all I see on the news is all the all these things, bits and pieces of things that happen. Why don't we play some of the things that the policemen do, like help out the homeless and show those things with the body cam instead of showing all the negative stuff? I don't want to get into a thing where we're showing this great stuff all the time, but we don't see anything good that they're doing, and I know they're doing great stuff, but we should have a body camera on when we're helping out homeless or saving somebody's life. Why don't we play more of that also?
Well, there's Manassas Park, I'm going to give them credit because they're the only agency that actually has a body-worn camera full program up and implementing, but it's an easy answer. We got to do a better job. We've never, that's not what we are about, promoting ourselves. So that's something that we have struggled with, and you're exactly right. It's one of the things in law enforcement that we are changing, and we need to do a better job of showing all the positive things that we do. But I'll let Mario speak about the actual body-worn camera that they have.
We do activate our cameras anytime we make contact with any type of call or citizen. I mean, we normally don't play those videos out. A lot of them, because if it's a criminal case, we can't release it anyway. But I'm not sure why other bigger jurisdictions are not doing that, to be honest. We haven't come down in that point where we had to release ours, so I'm not sure how to answer why they don't do that. So.
What is your feelings about the push to start databasing the national use of force numbers? I know that one of the arguments is there isn't really a coherent database for, obviously, fatal shootings, but also use of force. Is that something you all are for or against?
Well, with the incident-based reporting that we're all part of for the Commonwealth, all those reports already in the Commonwealth already go to the state level. So anytime you use force in the Commonwealth, that's in a supplemental to the report, and those numbers can be had by the Commonwealth. Some of those are released to the FBI who put out the national, but we're already reporting that. Every time we use force, it is in a report that eventually finds its way to the state database.
Thank you. Let me thank each of you for participating. This is an important session for our community, so I'm grateful. The question that I have is, our community has changed. The dynamics have changed. These are very complex times, but also the demographics have changed. So I'd like to ask each of you who will speak to the change in demographic in your respective communities and your jurisdiction, and what impact that has had in terms of how you are protecting and serving. And the second part of that is, how have you changed your staff to represent the community that you're serving?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Washington. Appreciate that very much. First of all, the community has changed over the years. I've been here for many years, and y'all have been here, I'm sure, quite some time as well. And today, Prince William County is a very diverse community, from the river to the mountains. I like to claim them as mountains out there. But it has a very diverse community, and I think that's one of our strengths. I think we have diversity in commerce, we have ethnicity diversity, we have socioeconomic diversity. We have homeless camps in Prince William County. And we have people tonight who are sleeping not too far from here in the woods, and I've been to those camps. And so we have quite a bit of diversity in Prince William County, and as I say, I think that's one thing that makes our community strong. So in terms of staffing, we need to do more, quite frankly. And I talk about this frequently when I meet people. We need to have a police department that reflects our community. And we work hard at that, all of us do. We work hard at that. And if you were to look at what we do, if you came in and we showed you, we visited historically black colleges, and we've gone here and we've put publications out here, you would, perhaps give us a okay mark in terms of effort. Hey, you're doing some good things. But to be honest with you, we're not where we need to be. It's just, it's just a fact of the fact. We're not where we need to be. In diversity, for example, Prince William County is somewhere, depending on what your source is, somewhere between 20 and 22% African American, and we're not there. We're less than half that. We have efforts in place. Same thing with the Hispanic community. We're not where we need to be. So as I travel around and talk to people, I ask for help. You know, I tell you that this is something we need to work on and need to focus on. And we've done some things, we strategize all the time about what we can do, how we can do better. I talk to my colleagues, not just here regionally, but across the state, across America. And most, if not all of us, face the challenges with diversity. And it's just something that we need, as a profession, continue to work on. In the county police, we've done some things that we think might help with our testing and with some of our policies. But it's a challenge for all of us, but we're not where we need to be. And I appreciate that question, I really do. It's an important discussion to have. There are many reasons why your community should reflect your police department. That's generally the goal, you know. Sometimes people say, well, if you look at your peer agencies, that's what we call it, you know, people that are similar to Prince William County, Manassas Park. And they're kind of like you in terms of, gee, they're 10%, they're 9%, whatever the category you're looking at is, then you're sort of okay, because that's just kind of becomes the standard, you know, in some ways. But I don't accept that. I think you have to reflect your community for many reasons. And that would be a whole, I know we're limited time here today, but it's just important for many reasons dealing with community policing, but also with public safety. Many reasons for that. But we're not where we need to be, and we need to continue to work on that. I'm always open to suggestions, conversation, how we can get there. And on that note, we're always hiring people. Thank you.
The thing I would add to that is we all want minorities of color. We need it. We need your help. If you know someone that's looking for a job that may be interested in this field, send them to one of us. But also, as business owners, you know we're in one of the most competitive markets in the country, in the Washington, D.C. area. So if you're a minority of color and you can be hired by one of us, then you can be hired by every other police department and every federal agency in the D.C. area. So it's important, I'll get into the politics side that Barry left out, is we have to be competitive in the market. They're going to come to us, but they can go 10 miles up the road and make $15,000, $20,000 more. 28-year-old person right out of college, well, $15,000, $20,000 is a lot of money. So it's important that we remain competitive, because we're all going to go after the same applicants. So they are actually in the driver's seat, and they can go to any agency they want.
Mark Schauber. In addition to being a director of the Chamber, I chair an organization called Leadership Prince William. And our mission is to bring together leaders that can collaborate. To add to the line of discussion, I think representation is absolutely right on target and is a goal that needs to be achieved. But specifically in the light of today's context, it seems that the middle of the discussion has to do with an assertion of racial bias, just generally across the board of the topic, not necessarily here at Prince William. With that in mind, it could be real, it could be a perception. There seems to be a need for sort of an immediate discussion among leaders. Is there, or can you discuss how maybe the topic is being discussed within the departments and with local leaders, black leaders, if you will, in the community, to come together and build that trust between leaders in an immediate address of the current discussion? Is there some of that going on?
I think Chief Barnard already spoke about it at the beginning, so did Terry, so did Mark. We're already doing these town hall meetings. We're constantly going to them, we're constantly building those relationships, and we're building on them every day. We're continuously having, our calendars don't allow, because we're so many meetings we need to go to and engage, but we're doing it at one level or another. But that's where it starts, to get the leaders of those communities to, again, what I said at the beginning, remember, put your eyes on one of us. I've heard from the chief, I know what their expectations are. Those meetings are happening and those relationships are getting stronger every day here in Prince William, and we still have a lot of work to do.
Good afternoon. So first of all, I want to thank you for being here, and also for giving wonderful tours of the courthouse and of the detention center, and opening up the tours to the community. And I took advantage of it and brought some groups out there. So thank you so much, and I also moved through Leadership Prince William. But I am here wearing many different hats. I am not here necessarily today representing my town or my work. I am here also as a private citizen here living in Prince William, but also I'm involved with a number of education foundations for all the three school divisions, as well as with the community college. And unfortunately, recently through a deadly shooting in the woods in my neighborhood, I got into a process of starting a neighborhood watch. And through the process, and your officers were very helpful. They came to our HOA meeting, and they shared with us information that I would not have known. And my sons even asked, why Prince William schools, why are we taught or told this information? It's related to gangs. It's related to how gangs recruit elementary and middle school students to be their watchdogs, like in different wooded areas and so forth. And my sons who are now in middle school, they're saying we wish we would have known, even though luckily they are not, they haven't gotten involved. But they know of some people who have gotten involved. So I'm just wondering if there can be any partnership, or, there probably already is, but if the public schools could be better informed of things to be aware of, besides drugs and other things, but, gang-related activities. Plus, I also didn't know there were many businesses in the Prince William region were actually extorted by gangs. That was, news to me. Thank you.
At the beginning, I talked about task force and things that we're members of. We are all members of the Northern Virginia Gang Task Force. I think you guys told me I was going to be the chairperson here. I'm not sure. For those of you, you're told what you're going to do.
We did.
So as a chairperson of that task force, you have 17 different agencies involved with multiple detectives, state, federal, local agencies. We do come out to the schools. We will give programs to the school employees, what they can look for, how to react to it. We'll come out to HOA meetings or community meetings to provide that. We've had several of those across the Northern Virginia region, but we're always looking to partner with someone because, as we've been saying from the beginning and the inception of this task force, you're not going to arrest your way out of it. You're going to have some prevention and intervention programs, and that's the biggest part of this task force is the other components. We have a tendency to publicize more because that's what the media gets hold of the enforcement and the operational side. But equally amount of time and effort is put into the prevention and the intervention side. So we are partnering with them, all the schools, all the communities. But if you want to break that down to even smaller organizations, whether it's your business and you want your employees to understand, feel free to give me an email or a phone call. I can put you in contact with the person that can organize that, and we'll be happy to send staff members from this task force out to you, and they'll put on that training session and give you things to look for and how you can prevent it as well. But everybody up here is a member of it. We're all in. We are all putting resources to it.
As to say, like going on this conversation with having the business leaders in this room and talking about some of the things that as citizens, business leaders, needs that we need or that we have out of our law enforcement. Where I see out in the community, you do have officers that go out and try to integrate out in the community. You do have programs that you do try to help on prevention and intervention. But what are some of your challenges that you need support in, and where you might have budget issues or where you might not have resources? How can the community and how can the business leaders support you?
Well, see, nobody stood up for that one. I'm trying to lift things up. We try our best to stay out of the politics, but there is a budget process, and we are involved in the politics at the end of the day. We need your support. When we're asking for programs that cost money, and everything in law enforcement costs money, you asked about how you can support on that side, whether it's trying to be competitive in the hiring market and fair pay compared to our neighbors, and we're pushing for those items, or funding a body-worn camera program, which is very expensive. The cameras aren't expensive, it's the data storage that's the expensive part. Coming to support those programs to your elected leaders. They are the ones who support that budget and tell us how much money we'll get at the end of the day. When there's maybe negative and perception things out there, how you can support us is passing the word on. Hey, slow down, let's hear from the chiefs. Let's hear from the department before we make a decision and a judgment call. Just slow those things down. I know Barry wants to talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a great question. And actually, you do that every day. That's the first point. You're here today. This is a program about law enforcement, and I've done it again. You know, every time I go to something, and all of us, I've been to events all summer long, and we continue to go to events. And when I'm going to leave here and be kicking myself on the way back to wherever I'm going next, and because I didn't bring real cops with me, you know, and they would enjoy being here, that sort of thing. People that are really the kind of folks that you have interaction with, and that you engage with in one fashion or another. Sometimes maybe on the highway or other places. But and of course the chamber sponsors the Valor Awards. So you have been over backwards as an organization, as a chamber. Your membership and folks that aren't here today, you have been over backwards to recognize public safety and law enforcement specifically for many, many years. And I know you've included the fire and rescue in those awards assemblies, and we all thank you for that. What you can do each day, you know, is just when you talk to policy makers, when you talk to elected officials, just express your support for public safety. That's all you really have to say. You know, we support public safety. There's so many topics to discuss. I know we have transportation issues. We have economic development. We have our schools and education. They're all important. My goodness, how do you begin to, you know, rank those? They're all important to us. We all want to live in fine communities that have great parks and libraries, all of that. But we're a big part of that, you know, public safety is. And so when you support us, you're supporting the officer or the deputy who is out there doing the job. That's why I wish I brought some folks here today who are working the shifts, working in the cold, working at 2 a.m., working the midnights, the holidays, all that. So whatever you can do to, when you talk with a policymaker or elected official, a county executive, whatever it is, and you want to know, gee, how do I express my support? Just express it for public safety. Because, you know, I support, my company supports public safety. And so if you have any initiatives, I'd love to hear about them. Just do that. And if you see a deputy, if you see a police officer, and our good friends on the fire side, if you see them, people often ask us, what can I do? You know, because these are challenging times here and there. You really just have to make it very short. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. You're awesome. That's all I got to say. And they're going to do what we do. They're going to be very, well, thank you very much. You know, thank you very much. Appreciate that. But in their heart, as they walk back to their cruiser or, you know, wherever they're going to feel so good about that comment. It's going to mean a lot to them to know that you have extended your hand of appreciation and support. And when they get home that night, they're going to tell somebody in their family, you know what happened today? I was going into 7-Eleven and a couple of people did this and said hello to me and thanked me for what I do. So on the policy level, public safety support, it's just express those sentiments. And on an individual level, when you see a first responder, thank them for what they do. That means a whole lot to them. But the chamber has always been there for us, always, and through the years. And we thank you, all of us do, for that.
Question, how do you handle on those rare occasions where the citizen's complaint may be negative about the officer or police interaction, use of force, mistreatment? Is there a mechanism in place that is tracking like officers who may be doing things or may have multiple complaints against them or things of that sort? How do we handle it? How are we disciplining, dealing with those officers that may have bring negative light on the entire department? And is that a transparent process?
Is that what process?
Transparent. How transparent is that process?
Yeah. I'll start backwards a little bit. We answer, 100,000 plus calls for service every year. Really approaching 200,000. It depends on how we break it down. But we need to be more transparent with that process, quite honestly. That's kind of going that direction. We have a system in place. We take any use of force very seriously. All that's reported and documented and whatnot. Then it's reviewed by the agency to make sure the force was within the policies and, of course, within the laws that prevail. And if we think we have an issue, we address it. And we must address things quickly. You know, you have to get on the front end of it and address situations very, very quickly. While we have great people, we all have great people. You know, we like to think we do, we all have great people. We understand we're human beings too, though. We make mistakes. We are not always right. I want to be very clear about that. We are not always right. Sometimes we have a little slippage. And we need, when that happens, we need to get on it. We need to address it. Is it a matter of discipline? Is it a matter of training? And if we're wrong, we need to say we're wrong and be clear about it. Don't beat around, you know, don't just be honest about it. Be candid about it. We didn't handle that very well. Or maybe we handled it somewhat well, but there was a piece of it here that we could have done better at. In terms of a system, we do. All of us who are contemporary law enforcement agencies in this region and really across the nation are oftentimes going to have some type of early warning system. And, you know, that varies from age to age a little bit. The details vary. But the idea is when you have an officer that's involved in a certain number of events over a certain period of time, you are going to hit the pause button and do a review of that officer's behavior and be sure that the activities, the use of force, complaints if there were complaints, that you are not missing something in the broader picture. So a review is done. And if there's action to be taken, we take action. If there's not, we just move on. But it's important that we continue to review that process to make sure it's efficient and that it's doing the job it's intended to do, and to address any situation that is not handled appropriately in a professional, competent, and expedient manner. And then share some level of information with the people that were involved, with the community members, with the citizens that were involved. We owe them some explanation of what happened, and to sit with them or meet with them, whatever the case may be, send them a letter, whatever, you know, do a different way, just somehow communicate with them. Here's what we found, here's what we think needs to be done. We all want to do the right thing. Everybody does. You all want us to, we want to. And it's important that when we do the right thing, we also understand sometimes we might have a gap. But the key for me, and I think for all leaders in here today, is just finding that out and addressing them in an appropriate manner, and then taking whatever action is required. Thank you for that very important question.
I actually want to thank you for coming today and filling out or being here at the delicious lunch. I just want to say, Milton Friedman, the famous economist, said that the government and the economic system have to be inextricably linked. And I think law enforcement in Prince William County and the business community, the economic community, seems to be really, really well connected. And my question, or my challenge, I guess, is this. Northern Virginia Community College, Prince William County schools are some of the largest, I'm sure in the top 10 employers in the county. Okay. I represent Dr. Sam Hill, he's our provost down at Woodbridge. I very much am interested in knowing what I don't know. And that is, I want to know how the college and the school system can better help the police, law enforcement to achieve their goals and to do a better job, and to have us do a better job. It's easy for me. I put in a wrong accounting score. Tomorrow I can fix it. Okay, it's a little harder for the police or law enforcement. So perhaps you don't have a specific answer for me now, but I would ask you, if you think of it, you can contact me. And if anybody can think of it, I'd appreciate knowing what I don't know. Thank you.
Well, in a more generalized answer is, I think what you don't know is some of the things that we're trying to get better at in law enforcement is open up the doors. There's no secret. You know, let the Green Wizard pull the curtain back. He's really just a little short guy back there, right? So we're learning to do that, to be more open. We're inviting you. I heard someone speak about doing a tour at the jail, doing a tour at the courthouse. Every one of our agencies do that. So we're pulling back the curtain so that you understand, and telling people and sharing people what we do, why we do it, and how we do it more. And I think that's going to answer a lot of people's questions.